The purpose of this demo is to quickly demonstrate how to modify letters. We'll be using the Pathfinder tool, which is here, and also the pen delete anchor point tool, and also the scissors. The scissors can be found by clicking on the eraser and holding and selecting scissors. Okay, so here's my typeface that I've set the alphabet, and this is just Myriad Pro. And before I create outlines, I always make a copy of this, and I'm holding down my Option and Shift key to drag it upward. Notice the Option key adds the double arrow, so it reminds you that you're making a copy. Then I let go of my mouse and I let go of my keys, the Option and Shift. So there's a copy. Then on my original, I'm going to create outlines. Type Create Outlines. And I'm going to zoom in on just this area. So this is the area that I want to cut apart. So I'm going to cut apart this or remove the crossbar. First thing I'm going to do is use the Pathfinder tool. So I use a rectangle. I just draw a box on top. Notice it's pretty wide, so I'm going to go back to my selection tool and just resize that. Now notice if you want to cut off the entire inner part of the A, that's the crossbar, this has to cover it. So you can't be this close. See how it's not quite touching it or overlapping it? I would just be safe and cover it a little bit more. That's too much. Too little, just right. Okay, then if I try to select just the A and the rectangle, I selected the entire alphabet. So I want to ungroup that first. So I select all my letters, go to Object, and Ungroup. And there's different ways of doing this. This is just one way that I'm showing you. So now with my selection tool, I select the A and the box that I just created, and I go to Pathfinder, and you want to click on this button right here. This is your divide tool. Click on that, and if you noticed it, it sort of blinked. Then you select your direct selection tool, the white arrow, and I just draw a selection around this area. So now all that is selected. I delete a couple times. So we still got part of this. So I just select that. Notice I just dragged an area to select those, and I deleted a couple times. So now I've removed the crossbar. Okay, now I'm going to undo that, because what if I wanted to just Command Z, all this stuff. What if I wanted to remove an area right here? Okay, sort of an angled area. It's a little bit harder to use the Pathfinder, so I'm now going to use my scissors. So click on scissors, and I want to zoom in even more on this area. It is helpful to go into the preview mode, so I'm sorry, the outline. So View, Outline, and this shows you basically what it looks like when it's not filled in. So I'm going to click here with my scissors, and this corner here, cut that off. And I wanted to remove a section in here, so I want to select two more spots here and here. Okay, then use your direct selection tool, and so notice that this can now be cut off because I put a scissor point here and a scissor point here. And this section here can also be cut off, just this one little area, because I put a scissor point here and a scissor point here. So with that selected, notice no other part of the letter is highlighted. Okay, there's no blue handles appearing, so only this area will be deleted. But I had to delete a point here and a point here and a point here and a point here. Hopefully that makes sense. Delete a couple times, select this area, delete a couple times. Okay, so now I want to join these 2 points here. So this one, I click on that, hold down my Shift key, click on this, and only these two are filled in. The other ones are still like a hollow blue, so those will not be joined. Only these two solid blue points will be joined. Then go to Object, Path, and Join. Okay, so now they're connected. I need to do the same for this one. So click on that, hold down the Shift key, click on this, go back to Object, Path, and Join. Okay, so that's sort of what I want, but it's pretty funky. It's not a nice straight line. So if I select this shape, I see an extra dot here, an extra dot here, and they're not really necessary because I just want a straight line from this point all the way up to this point. So now I use my, what's this called? Delete Anchor Point tool. So click on that, click on this point to delete it, and then also click on this point to delete it. So now I have a perfectly straight line from here all the way up to here. Now if I zoom out, you can tell that it's a really weird shape now. It's narrower here, it's wider up here. So at this point, you can do a couple things. I'm just going to use my line segment tool to draw a line to help guide where I should move things. Okay, so I want to follow that bottom angle. Maybe I will follow this angle instead. So I'm going to draw a line right here. Maybe I'll follow this line instead. This would make more sense. So with my line segment tool, I'll just click and drag to create a line. And about there is good. Then I use my selection tool and I move it over. We'll get it more exact. Okay, so right about there. Okay, then I can use my direct selection tool, grab this point, and just scoot that over. Get rid of this guy. We don't need that anymore. Okay, although we could use that same angle to create this, right? So I'm going to undo to bring that line back, the line segment. Use my selection tool to select it and scoot it over to about there. So it's sort of lined up with this point here, and I want to scoot this over to here. Direct selection tool again. Grab this point and drag it upwards. Now you want to make sure that the left side is still on this line here. See this long line, the black line? So this should follow that same angle. You don't want to go up here and say, okay, I'm done, because now it's not matching up. So you want to make sure that the blue is on the black, if that makes sense. Okay, so the left side is lined up, the right side is more or less lined up. Pretty good. Selection tool, grab my line segment, delete it. So now it's much better. And then I can go back to View, Preview mode this time, and there's my letter. Okay, one more thing. Some of you created a really neat shape that was deleted from all the letters. So I'm going to do something similar. So I'm using my pen tool to create a shape. Maybe something like this. And then just close that. Okay, and so now we're going to use our Pathfinder tool again. Scoot this over. I want to make it more of this kind of triangle. And if you notice the blue lines, if you see a little stair step, that's how you know that it's not perfectly straight. So you want to make sure that there's no stair steps if you want a perfectly straight shape. Okay, so that's good. Now you'll notice when I toggle back and forth between the selection and the direct selection, this allows me to move the shape all at once. This allows me to select separate points. So there are ways to move shapes while still being in this. You'd have to add an Option key or an Alt key. But for this stage, I'm just showing you the difference between this. So you'll see me click back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to click on that and, whoops, select my triangle, scoot it over. Okay, something like that. Now I'm selecting both of the B and that triangle. Oh, but somehow everything is grouped again. So Object, Ungroup. Now B and triangle, Pathfinder, divide. I didn't see it blink, so I'm not sure if it'll work. Oh, it did. Okay, so that's sort of what I want to do, but I want to continue this shape through all my letters. So I'm going to undo that, undo the Pathfinder, and save this shape. There we go. I want to save this shape for later. So Option, drag, try it again, Option, drag, there's my double arrow, so I've made a copy of it. Now I can divide this, delete it, okay. Where'd it go? There it is. Somewhere around there. And you know what? While I'm copying it, I might as well copy it for all my letters. So Option and Shift. Shift allows you to keep it along the same plane. Having problems selecting it. I'm working on a trackpad. Okay, there we go. So we're going to copy it there. And Option Shift. Ugh. Copy it. See, so it can be frustrating. Okay, I'm having problems copying and dragging, so I'm just going to make a copy of that. So go under Edit, Copy, and then Edit, paste in front, and then scoot over. That way you can get around the problems with the copying with the pen tool thing. Edit, copy, edit, paste in front, and then scoot it over to the next letter. Then you can go back, use your direct selection tool, select the C and the triangle, Pathfinder divide, and keep going through all your letters. Pathfinder divide. And then the fun part is deleting those shapes. So when you zoom out, your alphabet's going to look something like this. And then there's your modified letters. Thanks for watching.